What's up, everyone? So it was just 1 week ago and half a day we were on this topic of Happy Death Day 3. Now, this article probably looks very familiar to you. This headline looks familiar to you, and so does this second one. The second article headline probably looks very familiar to you. And if you look at the dates, March 28th, these were the exact two articles that we covered 1 week ago and half a day ago on this topic, on this film. The fact that news had come out that from Christopher, I think it's Christopher Landon, the director and writer of the first two films, pretty much saying no word, hasn't written the script for the third one. And as you see from this headline and the other, there were plans at one point that instead of doing a third film, they were going to potentially do a 3-part series for the Peacock streaming platform, which didn't happen either. And if we go back and just, you can go back and look at that video. We're not going through these two articles again. I'm just bringing them up just to remind you, refresh you that it's not deja vu. We're not reliving a week ago again. We did talk about this. It wasn't happening, and it hasn't been happening for, I think, roughly, has it been 6 years since part 2 in this franchise? Happy Death Day to You was, again, roughly 6 years ago. And while it did make money, I mean, it didn't make as much money as the first one. The first one, if you just quickly scan here, the first film had a budget of $5 million, a little under $5 million, made $125 million. The second film had a budget of $9 million, and it made $64 million. That's not something to raise your nose about. That on that second film, that's still quite a bit of a profit, in my opinion. But for whatever reason, Universal said nope. We're hesitant. That second one didn't do nearly as good. It wasn't as profitable as we think. But again, I mean, I don't know how you can turn your nose at between 54 and $55 million profit on a $9 million investment. I mean, that just baffles me. So again, we didn't talk about part 3. It was just that yearly thing where, hey, it's another year gone, no news. But here we are on the morning of April 6th, again, a week later after talking about this. And here is the headline for this morning. Happy Death Day 3 is finally moving forward. What are the odds that we start talking about this franchise a little bit more? We start talking about whether or not we would ever see a part 3, and it didn't look like we ever would. Because again, if you're not doing a film and you decide we're just going to potentially do a 3-part series on a streaming platform, that tells me that the studio doesn't want to put the money behind a film, especially, I mean, $9 million, even the $5 million that was put behind the first one. They are probably thinking, 3-part series, you can probably get that done for, or what, $2 million probably, throw it on a streaming platform. It's additional content there, and we'll call it a day. And that's the end of it. This franchise will be completed. But apparently something has changed. Something has finally broken through after the 6-year drought, even since the reports from last week. And maybe the reports from last week is what kind of spurred this report to finally come out this morning, or for them to finally come out and say, nope, we're actually going to do a Happy Death Day 3 film. So we're going to take a look at these article details. I've not read this at all. I got the notification of this article getting posted, immediately started creating a thumbnail, started putting together all my stuff for the video, and then so we're gonna jump into the details now and see what they're telling us. So I mean you can just see here right from the get-go, just 1 week after yet another non-update on the status of Happy Death Day 3, franchise star Jessica Rothe announced at a double feature screening of the first two movies that the long-awaited third installment in the horror comedy franchise is now, quote, moving forward. Quote, the third movie is moving forward, Jessica Rothe said on stage at the American Cinematheque, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, last night, with Happy Death Day director Christopher Landon by her side. Landon himself added, quote, it's moving forward. It's been 6 years since the release of Happy Death Day to You, with fans spending these past 6 years wondering why the financially successful franchise hasn't made its return. Landon recently revealed that Universal and Blumhouse at one point considered doing a third installment as a 3-part miniseries for Peacock, which of course didn't end up happening. And that's what we talked about at length last week with those two articles. That was the first bit of information we had received roughly in 6 years about what was going on with a third film, what was going on with a follow-up to the second, whether that was a film or what they were going to potentially do as a miniseries. And I mean, now here we are again, a week later, we're getting more information. Back in 2020, Christopher Landon had revealed that the working title for the third installment was Happy Death Day to Us, said to be different than the other two films. Quote, "I would love if we had the opportunity to complete the trilogy," Roth told Coming Soon back in 2020. "I know that Chris has it all mapped out in his genius brain, but I also know that we only want to complete it if we get to do it right. I think it's just a question of seeing if the opportunity for that exists in the world." Roth continued, "But the funny thing is I have a feeling whether it's now or in 5 years or 10 or 20, if we pull a Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween and Tree comes back as a badass 50-year-old, I know that we will get to tell the rest of the story. I love Tree. I love the character so much, and I feel very, very grateful to have been a part of that. We all assume the status of Happy Death Day 3 at this time is in the earliest of stages, but this is the first time the project has been given any sort of green light. Stay tuned for more." So so down here is the post from Christopher Landon. Looks like this is on his X account, saying, "Such a fun night revisiting this, and having Jessica and Rachel there was the icing on the birthday cake. More to come." These don't look like videos; they just look like pictures or images. Then we have another thing down here. Jessica and Christopher just confirmed that Happy Death Day 3 is going forward at a double feature screening of the first two films. So this is them on stage at that announcement. And that's where this article wraps up. So, I mean, as I mentioned, it's still in the earliest stages, but I think for fans of this franchise, for fans that have been waiting 6 long years to find out what's going to happen with this follow-up, I'm for one glad that the miniseries aspect and path did not work out. I don't necessarily like that idea. I think if you're giving me feature films, I want to. If you're gonna do another one, wrap it up with a feature film. I'll give you an example. I know a lot of people we're going outside of horror now for a second. Like in the DC world, when the whole Zack Snyder's Justice League came out, there's always been those talks that there was supposed to be 3 Justice League films he had. And there's been all these talks where fans are like, "Oh, well, I would be okay with an animated follow-up to get his last 2 stories." Not me. No, don't give me a live action film for the first one and then give me 2 animated follow-ups. I wouldn't want that. I want 2 more live action to follow it up. So now leaving that aside, just to give an example, coming back to this, I wouldn't want to get 2 feature films and then you give me a 3-part miniseries that I don't necessarily feel would tell the story the right way or conclude the story the right way. So I am glad that they have confirmed they are moving forward with part 3. Now it's just a matter of, will it actually still truly happen? Yeah, it's been greenlit. They both confirmed it. They're moving forward with it. But I mean, they're still going to be very much in the early stages. There's going to have to be a script, budget, pre-production, doing the film, post-production. So I think it's probably going to be a couple years, probably another 1 to 2 years before we see this film, unless they're going to fast track it with the budget being small, they might be able to fast track it and get it out there into theaters. But happy for all of you who are fans of this franchise that you're finally getting that third film to wrap up this trilogy, wrap up this story, because I know a lot of fans have been waiting for it. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this horror news update on April 6th. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think about this news. Are you happy to see that Happy Death Day 3, after 6 long years, has finally been confirmed and greenlit to move forward? Or are you just not a fan of the franchise and you're just going to look at it as just another horror movie out there that you may or may not check out? Again, let us know in the comment section. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.